everyone, it's Dr. Darnise. Thank you for coming by my channel once again. Thank you for all the growth to the new subscribers. Hi, welcome to Dr. Darnise's House of Magic, Religion, and Conjure, where we talk about all things religion, magic, and conjure. And so I want to come on today and do a couple of things. One is to continue my theme around us owning our own stuff, meaning in particular people of African descent throughout African diaspora, owning our own stuff, our own traditions, our own religions, our own art, our own culture, putting our names on things, honoring those who are like us, who have done whatever they've done and contributed whatever they've contributed, because many times we don't honor our own. For example, jazz music is so big in Europe, and so many African Americans do not even pay attention to jazz. Of course, it's not really on the radio. It's not considered popular unless you go to jazz radio. But anyway, it's just an example of what I mean. Like, we have to own our own stuff, because other people will take it, they will claim it, they will put their name on it, and later on we're just going to be mad because we're going to say, oh, we invented that, we did this. Like Black History Month, it's all about us saying, yeah, we did this and we did that, and they took it from us, and this and this, and this is not fair. No, it's not fair, but we know they always do it. So in particular, because I'm talking about religion, magic, and conjure, I want us to own our own African religions and the spiritualities that have come from those. So I have another book to share with y'all. Before I even get to the book, one of my students did something. She wrote something, and I thought, this is why, when you teach, every now and then your students show up and they tell you something where you're like, they were listening. Oh my God, they were listening to me. And if you don't know, I teach college, and I teach African American history and African American religions. And so this is an assignment from my intro to African American studies class, and they were asked to write an essay comparing people today with some historical figure. So who was a leader, African American leader today, and who would be their historical predecessor in terms of the people who we talked about. And I was talking to them about ownership, how African Americans have to claim ownership in order to establish a firm economic foundation for our future, right? Like, that's where it is. The civil rights movement now has given us all the legislation it's going to give us. And so it's up for us to step into economic power for us to move forward. Anyway, that's a little snippet of what the conversation was. So she writes about how P. Diddy has said something that, and she quotes him from social media. She makes a comparison between P. Diddy, well, not really a comparison, no. She is talking about how P. Diddy admired the works of James Baldwin, who's my favorite. James Baldwin was my favorite. And so she liked to put that James Baldwin in there. So she's listening, right? And so she says, she writes in this paper, Sean Combs, Diddy, is in tune with his predecessors in activism and still finds great value in the bodies of work they have left behind. A recent Instagram post made by Combs reminds the Black community to take ownership of our culture in stating, this is a quote from Diddy, "Our culture is a global resource. Let's not play ourselves and wake up one day and not own our culture." Diddy goes on to say, "Tighten up your contracts, tighten up your deals, demand ownership, demand equity. Protect your culture. It's for everyone to enjoy, but it's for us to own." And then she says, "This statement reminds me of Marcus Garvey and the Black nationalist movement in having a sense of identity and economic independence." So I'm going to share that with y'all. And I said, oh, it made me so happy for her to put those things together and submit that. So I asked her permission to share from her paper. I'm not going to say her name anyway, but I asked her permission, and she was quite happy to do that. But, based upon what I've been sharing, yeah, we have to understand, yeah, it is for other people to enjoy. The art that we produce, the culture we produce, the hairstyles, the fashion, the religion, magic and conjure that we create, but it's for us to own. Right. So, and as I mentioned to you all, I'm in various conversations with people who practice what they call Western magic, Western witchcraft, or traditional witchcraft, and they just understand that to be European. They don't even think about non-Europeans when they're thinking about traditional magic or witchcraft. They might get to Asian, right? Or they might get to the Egyptian. But if they get to the Egyptian, they're really talking about the Greco-Roman Egyptian kind of influences, right? They're not talking about, who we would think of as Black Africans when they do, if they do. So again, I'm going on and on for, about this. And so I wanted to share with y'all a book. It is called Esotericism in African American Religious Experience. There is a Mystery. And it is edited by some colleagues of mine. And so it means that there are articles in this book, chapters written in this book by a number of people, including myself, who have written on various esoteric African American religious experiences. So you don't find this commonly. And here we are, myself and my colleagues here, in the study of the academic study of religion. And we don't find this. Nobody is talking about our contributions to esotericism or the so-called Western tradition. No one's talking about it. And when no one talks about it, it means we get erased, right? We are literally erased because no one will remember. Like I always tell my students, in 50 years or 100 years, someone will come along and say Eminem invented rap. And the people who hear that will believe it. That's what I mean. You get erased when you don't know what your stuff is. It's not documented anywhere. Or when it is documented, we don't bother to read it, to own it. If it's artwork, music, knowing who our own people are or were, it gets away from us. And it's like we take it for granted that we're rich in culture and resources as a people. We really are. And we take it for granted. And we don't think let me preserve this. Let me save this. Let me make sure I get a piece of that and put it away somewhere. Let me make sure I tell my children and my grandchildren. I mean, really, the other thing I see is these young people today coming in my college classrooms, 18 to 22, they don't know anything. And they will tell you, I don't know anything. My parents have done everything for me. And I don't know how to do anything either. If it's not on this phone, if it's not Google or YouTube, I don't know how to do anything. So as a side note, if you have young children, give them some chores, give them some activities, give them things that they have to figure their way out of it. Don't overdo for your children because they won't know how to do anything and they won't know how to think through problems. They'll be thrown off by the least little problem. If you have children, give them an opportunity to fail and figure out how you recover from failure. Give them an opportunity to learn things on their own, make mistakes, and have to recover from the mistakes they make. That's part of their maturing process. So for us, with our practices, we have to be willing to say, yes, this is my practice. It is African based. This is what I do. This is why, because it's valuable. It's a valuable part of my African heritage. And it is valuable. So when you stand around people or communicate with people who are Christian or whatever religion, an institutional religion, a Western religion, you can take pride in who you are and practicing what you do because it's part of your culture and your tradition. Right? So I guess you have that right. But I really, I'm suggesting this, can go to Amazon and get it. It's going to be a little bit pricey because it's an academic book. So it's not, popular book where it's going to be $19.99. No, I'm not even sure what it retails for at this point. But I'm going to guess somewhere between $30 and $50 for the book. Just think about when you're in school, if you went to college, how much your textbooks were. right? It's that. But again, we have to be willing to invest in ourselves and not say, well, that book is too expensive, I'm not buying that. Because we'll do that. That's how we give away our culture, because we don't know, we won't invest. And therefore we don't know that this book exists. So go to Amazon and get yourself this book. I'm trying to think of any other place you could get it, or any other way that you could read it. I'm really not sure. My article in here, in case you are curious, is about New Thought. So I am a scholar of New Thought, and I have been writing about that since, I don't know, the beginning of time, since the early 2000s. And so my article it's chapter 3 of this book, and it's called The Self Divine. Know ye not that ye are gods? The self divine, know ye not that ye are gods. So other books, other chapters in here: esoteric writing of voodoo. A very interesting person I found out about, Pascal Beverly Randolph, in the African American community, a very early mystic, 19th century mystic. I had never heard of him. Again, his name is Pascal Beverly Randolph, in the African American community. So it's full of all kind of people who you probably don't know by name, ideas and numerology. There's some stuff in here about um, what would I call this? Esoterics of the Nation of Islam. So numerology and the religious thought of Tanetta Muhammad and Louis Farrakhan. Some work here on Sun Ra, the poetry of Sun Ra. Anyway, it's just a lot. I can't even, go through here and tell you what all there is. But, I'm sure on Amazon you can do a look inside and at least see the table of contents. But I just want to bring your attention to that. And, as I've mentioned to you all, we're getting close, right? I put up a page for the class for January. If you want to move forward and do this program with me in January, creating a magical and spiritual new year for yourself, beginning in 2019, beginning in January, if you want to be part of this class that I'm going to do, then see the link below. You'll see the page. It'll take you to the page where you can read a little bit about it and sign up for it, register for it. It is intended to give us a firm grounding, a foundation for what we want to create for 2019. What do you want to establish for yourself? How can you use your magic to position yourself for success? I'm just looking at my notes here. Anything else? This video is getting kind of long, so I don't want to go into it deeply, because I already did a live and I did a previous video where I talked about what will be in this class. I will say, you'll need some materials for the class. You'll need some books and resources. I'm going to help you pick out, your spiritual toolkit for what you want to create and manifest. So it's designed to be really personal. So, it's not just me talking in general, but helping you find the things that you need to create the results you want to create. What are the herbs? What are the crystals? What are the candles? How do you do it? What are the rituals to set yourself up for success for the entire year? I mentioned, I think last time, be thinking about a word or a term for yourself for the new year. What embodies what you want or where you're trying to go? This is how we take our own stuff and make it our own and utilize it in practical ways. So we can inherit all the intellectual wisdom of the ages, all the spiritual mentorship from the ages. But if you're not working it yourself, what's it for? I mean, you could put all the books and things on your shelves, and you can have your collection of crystals and whatever, and if you don't understand how to use those things to shape your world the way you want, then what is it all for? So anyway, I'm going to need y'all to register pretty quickly within the next 2 weeks, because that'll let me know to continue to build out the course, right? I got to build out more of it there, and I want to know that you all are on board with me. Plus, I don't want it to be a lot of people because I want to be able to give you, the students in the course, some specific feedback. So it'll be, as you go to the follow the link to my Teachable site, you'll find out, more like the module, we'll have modules and you'll have some feedback from me. We'll have some more live interactions, or I mean virtual live interactions, so that you can ask your questions and I can give you my feedback for your particular situation. So yeah, all that's linked below, and I will be back next time. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing. We are growing. Let's see how many more we can get by December 31st. So thank you all, and bye for now.